This, good readers, is the Jones Frontier. It used to be the Explorer. Now it's the Frontier. It's very similar to before. Still has like a lot of the same stuff going, and on snow, the way it rode was very similar to, let me get some of the water off here. But, you know, it's always a very recommendable, well-built ride for the price point. And it sits in that middle world between the Jones Mountain Twin and the Jones Flagship. Has some of that, you know, directionalness of the Flagship, but has that double-enderness of the Mountain Twin. And it makes for a very recommendable ride for those who tend to ride a little more directional than the Mountain Twin does, but want something that has a little more float than the Mountain Twin does, that's closer to the Flagship. Not the same, but closer. So we're laying this down on the table to show you the camber profile in reality, not what, you know, a little picture on the side or what somebody else might say the camber profile is. You can see here, there's a mellow camber underfoot, going to a pretty mellow rocker, but a little more rocker than camber. You also have, just after the kind of the camber ends, like right as the camber's ending, it kind of transitions into kind of a lifted side that helps a little bit. It's not as exaggerated as some of the other boards, but there is a slight curve. And what's cool about that is you don't feel it as much on the contact points or at all. So turns fine. But then when you get it in powder, those lifted sides just seem to help the turn initiation in powder better. And I was riding it in some thick snow this afternoon, actually this morning. Let's get into what the readers have been requesting a lot of lately. This, talking about the width of the board underfoot. So this is the last insert. You're looking at just about 27.5. And on the front insert, you're looking at just about 26.5. Now, that should be the same on the nose too. Let's see. No, you're looking at just about 27, about 2. And just about 26.2. So you're a little further back on this, and this is a little more towards the tail, so that's why. Never mind. And then, you know, in terms of stance widths, just using regular bindings, like if you're going to throw on Jones bindings or something like that. With traditional discs, you're looking at 20.5 all the way in, which is, you know, which isn't too narrow, and 25.25, which is pretty wide. So, you know, you've got, you can really open it up, but this is the 162, and, you know, it's generally going to be for bigger riders. Now, if you want to set it all the way back, you can get to 22.75, which I think is really good for this board size, and that's kind of, I think, how it runs across, you know, the spectrum. And then I did some math for you already, just to make it go faster here. Setting all the way back, there's a difference between nose and tail of 4.5 inches. Divide that by 2, you get 2.25 inches back on board. So it's not massive when you compare it to some of these like ultra super mega free ride boards. But man, it's pretty good when you compare it to a lot of all mountain boards that are usually like 1.75 or 1.5. So, you know, this is on the bigger side of, you know, the double ender world. Let me turn this around so you can see this nice base. For this price point, this is a great base. You know, I've ridden almost all the boards in Jones's line, and I have to say that, you know, the glide that you get for the price point is one of the best in the industry. And that's kind of where they stand out the most. This might not be a bomber carver. It might not be the best board in powder, but it does everything good enough. And that's what you want from an all mountain board. It does nothing great, but it never really truly fails in anything except for maybe if you're really more park oriented. This is kind of like mountain freestyle up. You know, you kind of want to stay on the mountain here with this. You can, but there you go. That's the new Frontier, formerly the Explorer.